Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Ranjit Singh from Environmental and Industrial Biotechnology Division, the Energy and Resources Institute, New Delhi. Today we are going to talk on module Biotechnological Approaches for Management of Environmental Problems under the paper Environmental Biotechnology. The learning objectives of these modules is environmental problems, the sources and its nature, types of the environmental problems, biotechnological approaches for management of environmental problems, environmental biotechnology for cleaning of the environment and other environmental issues. So let's talk about what is environment. Environment is the sum total of all natural surroundings of living organisms, which includes natural forces and other living things, which provides conditions for development of growth as well as of the danger and damage to the living organisms. So what are the environmental problems that we are facing nowadays? So our planet is facing several environmental problems that deplete natural resources and affects livelihoods, many of which are exacerbated by poor human practices. These environmental problems are a global phenomenon and therefore a matter of concern for each individual. If these environmental problems are left unchecked, it can negatively impact our life both directly as in the form of a supply chain disruptions or indirectly in the health hazard that can lead to loss of resources and efficiency. These environmental problems affects every living organism on this planet. Over the last few decades, the exploitations of our planet and degradation of our environment have gone up at an alarming rate. Since our actions have not been in the favor of protecting this planet, we have witnessed natural disasters striking us more often in the form of flash flood, tsunamis and cyclones. Major environmental problems. The major environmental problems are air and water pollution, acid rain, global warming, loss of biodiversity, domestic and industrial waste disposal, pesticides and weed control, genetic modification, deforestation, climate change, and soil and land pollutions. So what are the biotechnological approaches for management of these environmental problems? So the biotechnological approaches to solve these problems are the landfillings and composting, biodegradation of xenobiotic compound, biosubstitutions, oil-eating bugs and designer bugs, waste treatment and their managements, bioremediations. First, we will discuss about biotechnological approach for cleaning up our environment. So, our environments which faces many types of contaminants. So, these are the list of contaminants that get released into the environments. For example, solvents from various industries and processing units, pesticides from the agricultural lands, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, petrochemicals, explosive and heavy metals. Therefore, much of the focus of environmental biotechnology centers on the remediation of pollution or the treatment of waste products. Avoiding production of contaminant on site is a good option through clean production technology. Hence, what is the clean technology? Clean technology leads to reduction of pollution or waste generation at source, and this is followed by different methods. First, we can do is change in technology or processes of production or alteration in the raw material used. Therefore, the main area in which biotechnology can be utilized is fall into two broad categories. This could be changes in technology or processes or alteration in the raw materials used. The main area in which biotechnological systems can be used that is useful for the management of this clean technology fall into two categories. First is process change and another one is biosubstitutions. Process change. Process change is replacement of existing chemical methods of production with bio-based methods such as microbial or enzyme action. Biological synthesis route, for example, whole organism or by isolated enzymes that tends to operate at lower temperatures or high enzymatic specificity and much purer yield with fewer byproducts. Textile industry. Textile industry uses novel and inexpensive enzymatic methods which provides a fast and inexpensive alternative to traditional flax extractions by breaking down the woody materials in flax straw. Thereby, this reduces the process times from days to even a few hours. This enzyme-based technologies or the rating process available for the use of hemp and flax seeds and finer linen fibers. The production of biodegradable polymeric fibers which can synthesized using modified soil bacteria, avoiding the current persistence of these materials in landfills and long after garments made from them are worn out. The leather industry. The batting process in the leather industry, residual hair and epidermis removal from the skins which leaves the hair hide clean, smooth and soft. So addition of these enzymes can be used to help manage this waste generation from these industries. So, however, combining chemical agents and biological catalysts during an herring process can significantly reduce the process time while reducing the quantities of water or chemical used in this process. Biosubstitution. Environmental pollution can be reduced significantly by substituting pollution-causing substances with some alternative substances, for example, or biodegradable substances. For most of the pollution-causing substances like plastics, oil, lubricants, etc., we can find or develop suitable, less harmful alternatives. These are called biosubstituents. Therefore, biosubstituents can be considered as an environmental beneficial applications of biotechnology. For example, the biological production of alternative to fossil fuels such as bioenergy, biofuels, biopolymers, bioplastics like polyhydroxybutyrates. These are the biosubstitution substances. Now we will talk about biohydrogen as a biosubstitutions for alternative fuels. Since biohydrogen is the fuel of future which can solve the scarcity of fossil fuel that may come in picture in the near future. Since combustion of hydrogen can produce more energy in compared to petrol or gasoline. Biological methods of hydrogen productions are preferable in an environment point of view. Therefore, also metabolic engineering of bacteria which is involved in the biofuel productions, for example, Clostridium species, could be improved for hydrogen productions more efficiently. Biogas as substituent for LPG. As biogas produced from the plant and animal waste can be directly used as fuel for cooking purposes and as compressed natural gas used instead of LPG in vehicles. Biodiesel and bioethanol. These liquid biofuels are produced from natural or biological resources that can be used directly in conventional engines. It can be produced from edible oils, animal fats, for example, fish waste, slaughterhouse waste, and from non-edible oils like jatropha, castor beans, etc. The advantage of using biofuels are it produced from sustainable and or renewable biological resources. It is sulfur-free. It produces less carbon monoxide, less hydrocarbons, and the particulate matters emissions are less. It is non-toxic, biodegradable, and safety to handle. It is used in existing unmodified diesels or petrol engines. Hence, the current engines doesn't need any modifications for use of these biofuels. It reduces expenditure on oil imports. The other example of biosubstituents are bioplastics, for example, polyhydroxybutyrate, polyhydroxyalkanoate, and polylactic acids. So why bioplastics are very important for our environments? As the plastic is the main threat to modern world, the main problem associated with plastic is that it is non-biodegradable and it can persist in nature for longer period of time. The other example of biosubstitution is biolubricants. Biolubricants are bio-based lubricants which is produced from a variety of vegetable oils such as rapeseed oils, canola oils, sunflower oils, soybean, palm and coconut oils. The best application for biolubricants is in machinery that loses while directly into the environment during use, and in machinery used in any sensitive area such as in near water bodies. Therefore, compared to petroleum-based lubricants, use of biolubricants has many advantages. For example, it produces a cleaner, less toxic work environments and fewer skin problems for those working with engines and hydraulic systems. It offers better safety due to higher flash points, constant viscosity, and less oil mist and vapor emissions. It produces fewer emissions due to higher boiling temperature ranges of esters. They are highly biodegradable and the cost less over the product's life cycle due to less maintenance, storage and disposal requirements. Biological fuel cells. These are the devices which is capable of directly transforming chemical energy into electrical energy via electrochemical reactions which involves biochemical pathways. The fuel cells are solutions for world's two great issues. The first one is the energy crisis and the second one is waste disposal, as it can convert waste into electrical energy. So biosubstitution is harmless solutions for fuel and energy crisis and also in a better way to reduce environmental pollutions. The cost of production of the modification of existing machines are the main challenges associated with the biosubstitution techniques. Biotechnological approaches to pollution control. Since pollution is one of the world's biggest environmental problems, as it tends to be a typical byproduct of modern life. For example, air pollution is the result of fossil fuel combustion as well as various gases and toxins released by industrial and factories. With the help of modern biotechnology, naturally occurring biocatalysts can be used to detoxify harmful chemicals. Such biocatalysts or any biological agents have helped get rid of carcinogenic compounds like methylene chloride from industrial waste. Hence, the available technology falls into two types: biofilters and bioscrubbers. The selection of the technology from a given situation is based on the concentration of the contaminant, its solubility, and the ease of process control. In this process, the contaminants are first dissolved in water, then subjected to bioremediation by various species of bacteria. These special bacteria are exposed to this waste in a bioreactor, where the bacteria consume the noxious chemical present in that particular environment and convert it into water, carbon dioxide, and salts. Thus, by this process, it completes destroying the chemical compounds. For example, a species of bacteria called Geobacter metallireducens is used to remove uranium from drainage water in mining operations and from contaminated groundwaters. The screening, isolation and characterization of various important genes would help in developing more robust strain that can degrade a wide range of pollutants. Moreover, molecular manipulations of these bacteria can help tailor bacteria to use them as a more robust bioreactor systems to remove specific toxicants from the environment. Now we discussed about the other different biotechnological approaches for the abatement of pollutions, which are reduction in atmospheric CO2, sewage treatment by bacteria and algae, eutrophication and phosphorus pollution, management of mental pollution, immobilized cells in the management of pollution, and bioremediation. So first we talk about atmospheric CO2 reduction. Since there is a continuous addition of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, particularly coming from industrial processes, and this principal greenhouse gas is responsible for the increase in the atmospheric temperature. So what are the biotechnological approaches for the reduction of this atmospheric temperature? The first one is the use of the high rate of photosynthesis, because the utilization of carbon dioxide through photosynthesis in plant is the most significant process to reduce carbon dioxide content in the atmosphere. This equation is showing the photosynthesis reaction where carbon dioxide is combined with water inside the plant cell wall and is converted into sugar as well as free oxygen molecules. So how we can use higher plant for the atmospheric carbon dioxide reduction? The major problem with continuous deforestation is that its deforestation leads to the increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide, and the conservation of the forest and plantation is the need of the hour. So certain biotechnological approaches have been made to improve the carbon dioxide utilization by enhancing the rate of photosynthesis. For example, the enzyme ribulose biphosphate carboxylase or rubicase catalyzes the carbon dioxide fixation in the plant. Also, there has been some attempts to genetically manipulate this enzyme so that the photosynthesis efficiency can be increased further. The use of fast-growing trees, they are the more efficient in utilizing carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Hence, their propagation is advocated. Further, micropropagation and synthetic seeds production through plant tissue culture techniques are also very important steps to improve the utilization of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Microalgal photosynthesis. Certain microalgae are more efficient than higher plants in utilizing atmospheric carbon dioxide. For example, Chlorella species of algae, Spirulina, these organisms are capable of generating more oxygen than the amount of CO2 consumed. Therefore, it is advocated that growing microalgae in the vicinity of industries and power plant effluents where the production of CO2 is very high, this can help to minimize the polluting effect of atmospheric carbon dioxide. Moreover, genetic manipulations are in progress to develop new strains of microalgae that can tolerate high concentration of carbon dioxide and yield larger biomass. In addition, microalgae is also regarded as a photobioreactor that accumulates a biomass which can be utilized for the extraction of protein for use as a food and feed. Therefore, biotechnological tools are being used for restoring the degraded ecosystems. Some of the methods based on plant biotechnology includes reforestation involving micropropagations and the use of mycorrhiza. So what is micropropagations? Micropropagations is the cloning of the plant parts in the lab and then cultivation of the lab grown part on the larger scale. So micropropagation has resulted in increasing plant cover, which in turn helps in preventing erosion and also adds climatic stability. A specific plant species have been planted in areas which are more prone to denudation. Biodiversity and conservation. Since human activity has also proved devastating for the diversity of species and extinction of several species that has been increasing at an exponential rate, one of the major concerns today is the preservation of our existing diversity, flora and fauna. Therefore, biotechnological applications have opened up a new and improved methods of preserving plant and animal generating resources and have accelerated the evolution of germ plasm and collection of for specific traits. The maintenance of wide genetic base is essential to us for the future of biotechnology and the sustainable use of biological resources. For example, plant tissue culture, it's a key technology for increasing the production capability of many plants of selected varieties so as to improve the increase of their production and to prevent them from extinction. Conservation of germplasm by cryopreservation, biotechnological tools are being used for the restoration and preservation of our biodiversity in multi-dimensional ways. Sewage treatment by bacteria and algae. The sewage or wastewater, which results from various domestic, agricultural and industrial activities, is mostly composed of organic and inorganic compounds, some toxic substances, heavy metals and pathogenic organisms. Therefore, in the biotechnological treatment of sewage, the organic matter is subjected to biodegradation or bacterial oxidations. In this process, the organic matter is degraded to smaller molecules like carbon dioxide, ammonia, phosphates, etc. and biodegradation requires a constant supply of oxygen. Since this can be done by continuous bubbling of atmospheric oxygen inside this wastewater through a specially designed equipment. Therefore, a continuous supply of oxygen can be achieved by growing microalgae in the ponds where sewage treatment is being carried out. Since the algae are very efficient in photosynthesis and they releases oxygen to the ponds, thereby algal bacterial symbiosis could be responsible for photosynthetic oxygenations and the biodegradation of sewage organic matter very efficiently on a large scales. This is the schematic diagram of sewage treatment by algae and bacteria. In this process, sewage, which contains lots of organic matters, are oxidized by bacteria through bacterial oxidation or biodegradation process, which generates lots of carbon dioxide, ammonia and phosphates. These molecules are taken up by algae. Through this photosynthesis, various algal biomass are produced, which can be further dissolved and degraded by bacteria, and thereby lots of oxygens are released during this sewage treatment plant. Eutrophication and phosphorus pollution. Since wastewater are rich in organic and inorganic nutrients, which contains phosphorus and to a lesser extent nitrogen, these nutrients favor excessive growth of algae, which results in oxygen depletion or called eutrophication. There is a term called water blooming. This water blooms happens because certain species of algae, particularly the blue-green algae, for example, Linvia, Microcystis, Oscillatoria, Anabiana, it can tolerate eutrophications and grow well and forms water blooms in waste and sewage water. These algae are capable of absorbing phosphorus in the sewage water and store them as a polyphosphate. The phosphorus is a strong promoter of algal growth and water bloom formation. As a consequence of water blooming, these water blooms are associated with the production of certain toxins, for example, lipopolysaccharides, which are harmful to fishes and birds. Sometimes these toxins may also cause certain diseases in humans, for example, diarrhea, gastroenteritis, or nausea. So, what are the processes for the control of eutrophications? So, eutrophication can be controlled primarily by removal of phosphorus that will protect the eutrophication process. So, removal of phosphorus can be done through two ways, and that will help in the control of the algal growth. The first one is chemical approach, which precipitate phosphorus with salts of calcium, magnesium and aluminium. This process, however, is not practicable on large scale. In addition, the chemical approach adds to the sludge volume. The another process is biological removal of phosphorus. In biological methods, removal of phosphorus is done by bacteria through aerobic and anaerobic processes. In this process, organic carbon reserves compounds are oxidized to generate energy, and a small portion of this energy is utilized for the conversion of phosphates to polyphosphates. Therefore, the net effect is the phosphorus accumulates in the bacterial cell in the form of polyphosphates. Management of metal pollution. Environmental pollutions is also because of the heavy metal contaminations, for example, lead, cadmium, mercury, that causes several toxic manifestations in living organisms, including cancers and other more deadly diseases. There is two specific terms in the metal pollutions, which is bioaccumulation and biomagnification, which are the very characteristic feature of metal pollutions, as the living organisms, including man also, are constantly exposed to metals. These metals gets accumulated by a process refers to as bioaccumulations inside our body or any living things. Moreover, continuous exposure and accumulation of any metal contaminations in the organisms results in its increased concentration inside their body, a phenomenon which is called biomagnification. Therefore, biomagnification usually occurs through food chain, and human is the ultimate victim of the biomagnifications or metapollution. So these are the sources of heavy metals in the environments. The sources are mining activities, atmospheric depositions, waste disposal sewage, agrochemicals and excessive use of fertilizers, and industrial effluents. For example, plastic industries, textile industries, microelectronics. These all sources contribute in metal pollutions in the effluents. Bioscavengers of metals. Certain aquatic plants, namely phytoplanktons or benthics plants, which attach to the sea floors or under the sea surface. These and certain microorganisms can take the metals from the wastewater and acts as a natural bioscavengers. In the recent years, environmental protection agencies are advocating for the use of aquatic plant and microorganisms as low-cost bioabsorbents for the removal of toxic metals from the environmental pollution. For more efficient management of a group of environmental pollutants, simultaneously immobilized systems with more than one type of microorganisms can be used. For example, genetically engineered microorganisms are being developed for the treatment of polluted water and soils. Bioremediations. So bioremediation involves the use of naturally existing microorganisms to speed up the process of biological degradations of various unwanted materials. Bioremediation is important for two reasons. It doesn't use any chemical and it allows waste to be recycled. And there are two types of bioremediation process. The first one is in situ bioremediations. The second is ex situ bioremediations. In ex situ, contaminant is treated at its point of origin, whereas in ex situ bioremediations, contaminous waste is removed to a treatment area different from the origin of the waste. This is a schematic diagram of bioremediations where bacteria inside the soil degraded the contaminants and releases the non-toxic end products. Types of bioremediation. The first one is phytoremediation. This is the use of plants to remove contaminants from the soil or from the environment. The plants are able to draw the contaminants into the structure, for example, leaf, root and stem, and hold on to them effectively, thereby removing them from soils or water. Bioleaching. Bioleaching is the removal of metals from soil using living organisms. Certain types of organisms are drawn to heavy metals and other contaminants and absorb them. Types of bioremediations. Bioaugmentations. Bioaugmentation is adding of microbes and organisms to strengthen the same in waste to allow them to take over and decontaminate the area. Biostimulations. Biostimulation is the use of microbes designed to remove contaminations applied in a medium to the waste. Use of biotechnology for cleaning up our environment. So for the cleaning up of environment, this is the application of biotechnology in landfill technologies, where landfill contains solid waste, which accounts for the higher proportion of the waste generated by urban societies, while a part of this waste contains glass, plastics and other non-biodegradable materials. In large non-urbanized communities, a common method of disposing of such solid waste is the low-cost landfill technology, where all the waste get deposited as a dump site. Modern biotechnology has enabled us to study the available bacteria which are present in the dump area and which are responsible for the degradation of this waste, including hazardous substances. The most efficient strains of this bacteria can be cloned and reproduced in large quantities and eventually applied to the specific sites. The other method is composting. Composting, in this process, anaerobic microbially driven process converts organic waste into stable humus-like material, and this humus can be safely returned to the natural environment. And this method is actually a low moisture and solid substrate fermentation process. This diagram is showing a composting process. While eating bugs, sometimes accidental wild spills happens, which poses a great threat to ocean environments, and such spills have a direct impact on marine organisms. Hence, To counter this problem, scientists have developed many living organisms to clean up the oil spills. The most common is oil-eating microorganisms or bacteria. Dr. Anand Chakravarti has successfully created a superwork which can degrade oil into individual hydrocarbons. They have used Pseudomonas aeruginosa, where a gene of oil degradation has been introduced into the Pseudomonas species. Designer bugs. Since more than 100,000 different chemicals like chlorinated compounds are produced which are resistant to microbial degradation. Therefore, to tackle these issues, polychlorinated biphenyls compounds, scientists have isolated a number of PCB degrading bacteria, for example, Pseudomonas pseudococcus genes, a whole class of genes which is referred to as BHP making enzymes have also been isolated. These enzymes are responsible for the degradation of PCBs compounds. The other genetically engineered bacteria are also degrading different ranges of chlorinated compounds. For example, anaerobic bacterial strains which dechlorinates the compounds to the environmental safer molecules. Few days back, there is a technique called DNA shuffling, in which scientists have mixed the DNA of 2 or more different bacterial strains and created genetically engineered more robust strains which can degrade these compounds very effectively. Hence, the genetically engineered or chimeric genes which produces enzymes capable of degrading a large range of PCB compounds. These genes are further introduced in the chromosomes of original PCB degrading bacteria, and the hybrid strains thus obtained is an extremely effective degrading agent. Biomining. This is among the oldest industries in the world. Mining is the source of alarming levels of environmental pollutions. For example, bacterium Thiobacillus ferrooxidans has been used to back out copper from mine tailing. This has also helped in improving recovery. In this process, bacterium is naturally present in certain sulfur-containing materials and can be used to oxidize inorganic compounds like copper, sulfides, and minerals. And the process released acids and oxidizing solutions of the ferric ions, and that can wash out metals from the crude ore. This method of bioprocessing accounts for almost a quarter of the total copper productions world over. This bioprocessing of biomining is also used to extract metals from gold from very low-grade sulfidic gold ores. In the biomining, genetic engineering of bacterial strains can be used which is resistant to heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, and arsenic. If these genes that protect these microorganisms from heavy metals are cloned and transferred to the susceptible strains, the efficiency of biomining can be increased manifolds. Treating industrial waste. A variety of pollutants are discharged in the environment. These are the waste from pulp industry, which contains high level of cellulose and lignocellulose, and which poses a massive treatment problems, as cellulose is extremely resistant to enzymes breakdown and becomes resistant to both chemical and enzymatic attack when bound to lignin. Nowadays, researchers have now developed enzymatic pulp bleaching techniques which can degrade these cellulosic materials and treat the industrial waste. For example, microorganisms usually produces gelignase enzyme along with other polymers like cellulose and hemicellulose. This recombinant DNA technology can be used to express these gelignase enzymes in non-cellulitic host. The waste from dairy industry produces generally whey. Whey is a fluid contains potentially viable nutrients which has use in limited to animal feeds and some processed foods like ice creams, etc. When whey is discharged in the municipal sewage, it causes massive increase in BOD, and it has a high lactose content of up to 4 to 5%, which is poorly metabolized by most of the organisms used in commercial fermentations, where this whey contains 92% water, which involves high cost of separations. So whey can be disposed by various biotechnological approach. For example, treating the whey with specific microbial strains, direct fermentation of whey to lactose to ethanol, and use of yeast like and candida in intermediates, hydrolysis of lactose to glucose and galactose which is called fermentation, result in sweet syrup, which is used in the food industry. The pest control and biopesticides. These are the bacterial pesticides synthesized by transferring bacterial genes into the plants. The gene encodes a protein which, engaged by feeding insect, resulted in the solubilization of the insect digestive tract and release of protoxins, and this leads to disturbance in the equilibrium and ultimately kills the insect. These biological pesticides are being developed to target insect pests, for example bollworm and budworm, by transferring the Bt genes into a soil bacterium Pseudomonas species. So this is a biological methods of pest control which is very environment friendly and sustainable. So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. Biotechnology is set to play a pivotal role in the future for the mitigation of environmental problems and for the industrial economy. The concern should be on how to tap into modern biotechnology, maximize the benefits of the technology, and minimize the risk in terms of environmental harms and human health risk. Thank you.